Hello? Okay. I've got the easy job. I get to introduce the people who are exponentially smarter than I am, but I'm mostly going to also ask them to introduce themselves, spend 1 minute talking about who they are, what organization they represent, and what they do, and then to launch into 6 minutes of profound insight, followed by a 1 minute wrap up, and then we will wrap it up. Each person gets 8 minutes. I don't do math, so if that really should add to 7. That would be very characteristic of me. And then we will open it up to questions from the floor. So we have, I'm happy to introduce James Gray, Javon Swint, and Shawnna Hoffman. Apparently, Shawnna, this is not your first panel of the day, so you're a popular kid. So let's cut right to the chase. James, if you could introduce yourself, tell us who you're with, what you do, and what you're here to talk about.
Sure. Thank you, Ralph. James Gray, Global Business Development for Power Metacore, one of the sponsors here at the event. I joined the company a few months ago. Blockchain data storage is our specialty. We're the #1 worldwide disaster recovery network, helping businesses, organizations, government entities, educational entities store their data on the blockchain, coming off of cloud services or their own internal servers, which are prone to failure. Allowing us to help safeguard humanity's data and hopefully not losing all of the work from all of our predecessors before us, allowing us to continue to stand on the shoulders of the smarter ones before us and take the next stride in evolution in whatever entity that you're working with. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Javon Swint. I wear 2 hats. I'm the Program Management Office for the Government Blockchain Association, and I'm also a founder of my space defense company. It's called Almon. I'm a strategic partner of Lockheed Martin, and basically, in a nutshell, we work with the Space Force, and we build, really, really cool technologies to oversee what's going on in certain jurisdictions. That's pretty much, I guess, what I could do in 1 minute.
It's quite impressive. So I'm excited to join this panel, and my perspective actually is more from a citizen's perspective. This is something that I wrote a thesis on when I was at Harvard a few years ago, and so for me this is more near and dear to my heart, so some of the things I'll be sharing will be more from that citizen perspective.
Thank you. You cheated. Tell them your name, because there are thousands, maybe millions of people watching, and we want to know.
I think you said it. So it's Shawnna Hoffman, president of Guardrail Technologies, and as I had mentioned before, generative AI company that puts guardrails around the technology from the front end and from the back end, making it so that humans are always in the loop.
Sounds useful.
We hope so.
Okay. James, you've prepared some prepared remarks. Now deliver them.
Outstanding. Well, what I'd like to start talking about is a lot of people don't consider or think about only 1.5% to 2% of the current data in the world is being stored, which leaves 98% of all of the data in the world prone to loss. And when we talk about disaster recovery, it doesn't necessarily mean a nuclear bomb blew up the server where your data was stored, or a flood came in and wiped out the town that happens to be storing your data. It could be simple human error can cause data loss as well. And when industries and professionals and entities around the world have their data stored and it becomes lost, they lose that data. 60% of all companies or enterprise that lose their data go bankrupt within the first 2 to 3 years afterwards. Because a lot of those things that we store, a lot of the data that we accumulate, we go through so much blood, sweat, and tears to build these companies and build these organizations and run these governments. We accumulate data. We double our data that's out in the world every 3 years. It's doubled. So 2, 3 years from now, it'll be twice as much as it is today. And without safeguarding that data, a lot of times we have to start from scratch. And a lot of enterprises, a lot of organizations, a lot of government entities, if you had to start from scratch today, and not have the knowledge that you had, and not have the data to go off of the knowledge you had in the previous generations, are you going to be able to survive? Are you going to be able to make it? Can you start over again from the first time you started? And for a lot of enterprise companies and a lot of organizations, that answer is no. That they went through all of that turmoil to get all of that data, to learn all of the things that they learned, they're not going to be able to do it again, unfortunately. And that's kind of where we come in. As much as we want to safeguard individual companies' data, really it's about safeguarding humanity and keeping us going so that in 500 years or 1,000 years from now, our great, however many greats that is, grandchildren don't have to start over. They don't have to try to come up with these ideas on their own. They can take the next step. We took the first step for them, they take the next step. That's the point of safeguarding and keeping this data alive, whether it be healthcare data or educational data or national self-defense. All of these things, if we've come to this realization and we've gained this knowledge, we need to keep it and we need to safeguard it so that the next generation doesn't have to start over. They can take the next stride, the next step that we can. How many times in our lifetime just now has something come about because the technology wasn't available 50 years ago? It was just a matter of time for the technology to catch up to the idea of that great man or woman that came up with it. If you don't have those preceding sets of data and you don't have that knowledge from the previous generations, are you going to be able to take that next step? And that's what we rely on. That's what we've put our efforts and our blood, sweat, and tears into, is to building the #1 disaster recovery network in the world. We truly believe that every piece of data should be saved so that it can then be accessed and used by future generations. Who knows what they would be able to create with the data from our generation. So that's our focus. We also have other arms of the company that go into mining, cryptocurrency, and different coin funds, things like that. But our main focus, our main goal is to preserve humanity's data in perpetuity so that 1,000 years from now, they're not starting over.
My superpower is to reduce the sublime to the ridiculous. So what I'd like to ask you to do is if you could just give us a little focus in on what company uses you and what they use you for, just in about a minute so that we can understand how it is that, who's preserving the data, what it means to preserve the data, and presumably be able to access it again. And why you? How do you do it? And why would they pick you instead of?
Why me is obvious. I don't think I need to cover that.
Well, you do. It's not just your looks. Okay, you can't just be about looks.
98%. That's fine. I'll cover the other 2% that isn't obvious. So we use blockchain data storage. Why we feel it's superior. One big one is cost savings. Your traditional cloud services, AWS, and Minio type of cloud service data storage entities charge anywhere from $3 to $4 per gigabyte per month. Blockchain data storage, you can get that down to 50 to 80 cents per gigabyte per month. So when you work those numbers out and you're talking large numbers of data, terabytes and petabytes of data, amounts of data, you're saving 5, 6, 7, possibly 8 figures on your data storage budget, depending on how large your data sets are. How many other products could move forward using those funds? How many other current enterprises that you're into could take the next step forward by having an extra 7 figures behind it? How fast could we accelerate different programs and different outreach, community outreach? If you had an extra $300,000 to put into your local community, how much would that help your local community? How much worth would you get out of an additional million or 2 million or even $100,000 you could put back into your company or your organization or your government? Budgets are kind of a big thing to government. Where the money goes, how it's used, that's kind of a big deal for governments at a local level here in the city of Washington, D.C., kind of a small place, all the way up to the federal government overseeing everything in the United States or whatever country happens to be here represented today. So what else could you use those funds for? And that's another part of why we love what we do, because we're able to accelerate other programs and accelerate other initiatives by freeing up a line item on your budget that you thought was just dead funds. Because it's allocated to the storage. You agree you need to store your data, it's important to keep it. This is how much we pay for it. Now we can free up that money to do something else. So why us? That's a big one, because we'll save you 90 to 95% of your current storage budget. That's a big part of why us. Also, looking to the future, we use the Filecoin network, which is the IPFS protocol, which allows you to go from A to Z, from where you are straight to the data. You don't have to follow a chain of different folders and different servers and different things like that. It's a one-stop straight to your data wherever it's stored. Which theoretically, it may sound like science fiction, but theoretically in the future, you could communicate from a colony and grab your data from a colony on Mars and pull it off of a server here in the United States. And it's straight A to B without all of the different steps that go along with different traditional storage kind of databases. So that increases your speed, removes third-party intermediaries. All of those things relate to more cost savings as well. So some of our bigger supporters, clients, Meta, Bain & Co., Instagram, all use and support our blockchain storage. We've got over 100,000 providers worldwide, 10, 12 different data centers, 5 different countries. So depending on the restrictions, there are usually definitely certain restrictions that go into how governments can store data, where it can be stored, those kind of things. We try to accommodate all of those by having data centers throughout the world. Mexico, for instance, their banking data has to be stored on sovereign ground. That's one of their rules and regulations. So expanding into Mexico would definitely be a future step for us as well. But those kind of considerations goes into everything that we do at Power Meta and why we always work so hard to get our blockchain data storage and our network as solid and as strong as possible.
So, to simplify even further, you are the Fort Knox of data, and you are Data Finger, moving on from Goldfinger, using a James Bond metaphor. Is that a fair characterization?
I am the first block in the blockchain. So
you are the
if
Genesis
you get past
block.
me,
Okay.
then you can have the data.
Thank you. Very good presentation. Okay. Javon, did I pronounce that right? Javon, did you know that the greatest hypnotist in the history of America, if not the world, was blind to every color but purple?
Really?
Yeah, and so I know his son, and so if you were to run into the ghost of Milton Erickson, he would be able to see you. So bring it on, big guy.
You're hilarious. I was not expecting to laugh. Okay, so, and I'm gonna keep it as, in my way, simple as possible. I'm still under a certain disclaimer obligation, so certain things I have to say a certain way. So anyway, we only have one customer, that's the Space Force, and in a nutshell, we realize you can't really see far away if you look in the sky far enough. If you really look up, you can't really can't see. So what we do, well, what I do, I'm the founder and the developer. I basically come up with really exciting and cool different ways using holograms and really smart technology like quantum computing. Because if I can't really, some people wear glasses, some people have eye surgery, you can't really see too far what's in our atmosphere. So we design different prototypes that pretty much make it where you can see thousands of miles away right here, and it's in a 3D hologram, so you'll be able to spin it around, see what's going on. We also use a combination of artificial intelligence and quantum computing. We're more on the innovative breakthrough side, so a lot of the testing that we're doing, we are proving that it works. So we have a facility, we press really cool buttons, we see cool things happen, and we're like, all right, this works, or okay, it did not work. So we live in a time where a lot of people can't trust what they see. I mean, you look on the internet, there's a lot of, photos you can generate. There's a lot of just information online. So what we strategize is that we come up with just different unique ways where we use lasers for different purposes, for targeting purposes. We work with drones, more so to be able to see things that we cannot see or to catch things that are moving faster than the current technology that we have. So for example, if something is moving at a speed that you cannot really calculate, you need some type of advanced technology to see it, so we use quantum computing. I've been in quantum probably maybe 7, 8 years. A lot of my family's in the military, so I have a deeper understanding. My cousin was in special forces, so I have a deeper understanding on the true issues at hand. And what we do is just work with Space Force, Lockheed Martin. I live 5 minutes away from Lockheed Martin in Atlanta. So it's just a car ride, go in the building, we look at some really cool pictures, and then we make decisions. So now we realize that there's a lot of threats. There's a lot of, just global tensioning. You know, this person doesn't want to let this person say all the words out of their mouth. Like people cutting each other off. There's things in the sky we don't explain. People on social media are reporting different phenomena that we don't understand what they are. So our solution just basically helps prove and verify what's in our atmosphere, what's in our realm. And if there is a threat, how do we actually neutralize the threat without causing cataclysmic damage to anybody that's nearby? So that's really, I guess, it's a lot. I'm trying to say it simply without diving too much. But anyway, we use artificial intelligence, quantum computing. I'm the developer, inventor, founder. So I have all the insight. And after we test the technology, see if it works, then we put it into production use. But like I said, my only customer is the Space Force. I mean, they're the only agency that really believed the ideas that I was saying, since they focus more on the space side. Air Force, I'm good friends with Air Force too, but Space Force was more, they were more the customer of choice. Yeah, that's kind of me.
Thank you. Now, if we promise to keep it in this room, what's going on with this UFO stuff?
All right. The whistle.
It was an empty promise.
Just whisper it. Just whisper it.
Well, since the whistleblower has already announced it, I guess I won't show up missing. So those phenomena, have been proven, and so we try to identify exactly what that phenomena is. And so it could be a UFO, it could be a UAP, it could be a bird, it could be dinosaur, it could be a Hot Wheels car, it could be an Airbus, it could be a satellite, or it could be what you see on TV. It could be Star Trek up there. George Lucas might be up there too. You might see Richard Branson. But anyway, you may see, Blue Origin, SpaceX, So now that the cat is out the bag, I've been in that space about 7 years. So now that the cat is out the bag, I'm first. And there's a lot more things that you guys are going to see. Since whistleblower after whistleblower, I mean, it's just like a whistleblower party. Beep, 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 beep. This is going on, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on. So now that is out the bag, now we have to focus on neutralizing situations now that the globe has complete awareness of things they want to admit or things that they don't want to admit to.
Your secrets are safe with us. Shawnna?
There's a couple gentlemen in the back in black suits that want to talk to you.
A couple of men in black.
They have the briefcases.
Yeah.
I know what that means.
It's an earpiece. I don't know what that means.
Okay, Shawnna, you were mesmerizing with stories about Stuxnet and with the various cyber attacks that we've been experiencing, and the importance of the blockchain going forward. So, would you mesmerize the entire room, please?
Oh, my goodness, that is actually a lot of pressure here.
No pressure.
Especially following the two of you. I'm so glad that we have you at the helm of our national infrastructure and security and defense. So many of the worries that I have really stem from the older that I get. Back when we were younger, the physical security was what we were all concerned about. Somebody coming in and shooting down, with their, I guess pistols, our transformers or other things like that. But now, it really has turned into this cyber warfare that is, as you both have been talking about, it's almost like our physical has turned into this digital world with this black box, kind of a black hole that we really don't know the depths of the risks that could happen. One of the things so as I was writing my thesis for was a cybersecurity program that I did at Harvard, and we really dove into the main three that I'll talk about now. So our power grid, Our utilities, of course, are at risk right now. We have very aging systems. And a good example of that is I'm from Florida, and I remember waking up one morning kind of freaking out because one of the counties near me, I'm seeing a lot of heads nod, one of the counties near me, someone had hacked into the water system and it had increased one of the chemicals in the water and to a dangerous, dangerous level. So of course everybody's now boiling water and we're trying to figure out how do you manage that. I'm surprised we haven't seen that anywhere else. Maybe we have, maybe it's been pushed undercover, but that is a very big issue. My perspective with blockchain and of course AI is that these technologies, and that was part of my thesis, need to be put in and deployed, because if we think about it, AI is wonderful to be able to uncover anomalies. It could have uncovered that anomaly more than likely. Blockchain, though, for the transparency and traceability, is an amazing marriage to AI in that perspective, because you can start to trace and find out where maybe the beginning of the issue started. And so as we start to look at our power grids and other issues that are out there, that's another example. Think about, we all went through the Colonial Pipeline. How many of you couldn't get gas for a weekend? That was ransomware. That was silly enough, an AI program that could continue to learn. So anytime anyone tried to, to put up a security protocol, it could get beyond that because AI is so smart. Again, blockchain for transparency and traceability in that instance is extremely important to find out where did this start and can we start to see things early on with combining those two solutions together. And then of course a very strong cloud solution. Some of the other ones that we can talk about, I won't go into Stuxnet, but the San Francisco airport. Here's one. I'm wondering where this data is actually going to go. Sensitive information we know was stolen and has not been used. This has been over 5 years ago. As far as we know, it has been used. We don't know. I mean, the dark web is definitely, with the onset of the excitement of generative AI, a lot of what I've been seeing the dark web has increased. It's proliferated. There are so many new things going on. Who knows where this data, is being sold to and used. So again, our sensitive information is extremely important in that area.
Okay, I know money means nothing to you, but one of the little reveals that you slipped to me beforehand is you're sitting on $2.5 billion.
I am
So
definitely.
Would you
I wish
tell
it was mine.
Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so and if anyone wants this, I will post it to my LinkedIn right after this. I love White House grants, and my company, we've actually gotten a grant from the UK to provide generative AI services as kind of a give back to some of the things we're doing. So grants, I think, are amazing. So anyone in the room here who is looking for a grant to help our national infrastructure, security, and defense, thank you, there's $2.5 billion available. They are currently, there's open applications. This is through the White House. I found it, so I'm not a genius. I just looked up to see what grants there were and was super excited. $2.5 million. Quite a few of them. If you have a blockchain company, especially if you have anything that is going to be able to assist with massive amounts of paperwork, it doesn't say blockchain, but my mind looked at it and said, oh, blockchain is needed. And so I would love for anyone in the room, and I see a couple of heads nodding, I would be happy to send you at least the information that I have that was public record. You can just look it up, White House National Infrastructure, Security and Defense, and you'll see the same grant that I saw. But I would love to see so many of the people in this room really jump in and support it, because if not, what are they going to create? I'm just going to leave that question out there. Yeah, it's going to be very expensive and have lots of, gum and shoestrings and bugs. Yes.
You have a minute left. What's your call to action for the people in this room?
Absolutely. Well, and I think my call to action is very similar to what I had said earlier, is don't forget, the government agencies need you. And so volunteering for positions, I was just at the USPTO yesterday and NIST was speaking. They have over 2,000 people who've joined their AI standards group. But how many of those are actually working? So organizations like GBA, like other organizations that are actually making a difference, really need help. We need help on the AI standards group here and actually building that out to the next level. So the blockchain maturity model, other things, I would just say, get involved and remember you are important and what your knowledge has provided. Even if you can only spend, 30 minutes a week, that 30 minutes will be extremely valuable to the rest of us.
Okay, but that's the easy part. How do they get involved? Can they call you and say, what do I do?
Yeah, well, on the GBA website,
Yes.
for example.
Yes.
So for NIST, just type in NIST and the AI, the AI, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but they have a specific name for, the AI, responsible AI program that they're doing. You can volunteer there, but for GBA, just go in through your membership, volunteer, and there's many working groups. I think I'm involved in 5 of them. And trying to do as much as I can, at least an hour a week for each, is my focus. But I think our give back in life, as my dad always said, you got 3 jobs in life, honey, and it is the one that makes you money, the one that's your give back, and the one that you love. So what are your 3?
Shawnna, eloquent, and thank you all. We have about 5 minutes or so for questions from the floor. So, what's your name?
Adrian Ashley.
Hey, Adrian Ashley, ask a question. You look like a lively sort.
Oh, I am a lively sort.
All right.
So my favorite thing you mentioned.
Okay, this is Adrian
16
Ashley,
years
and
of cheerleading. I don't need a mic.
and she's a lively sort.
A lively sort. So, from all of you, you mentioned, Shawnna, you mentioned that the infrastructure piece, you're surprised. I live in Miami Beach, so yeah. I know. So the infrastructure piece, I really do believe that the blockchain with the AI, so they could track it as it goes, but then back up and restore, because I do a lot of WordPress sites. I get hacked, and I go, oh, okay, and then I just go restore the backup and close whatever loop they got in, and then it's fine. Wouldn't it be better for some of these companies who are subject to ransomware to be able to sacrifice the data that got corrupted over the last 24, 48 hours and just restore back instead of paying the ransomware or being down? Like MGM is still down. I was there in Vegas when it was happening, and it was crazy business. And Caesars just said, I'll pay the $60 million, right?
Well, I think the only challenge with that is that we don't know how long the ransomware has been sitting in the system. So backing up to the date that it's been put on the system is going to be probably the problem, because it
could still be there latent.
It absolutely could. It could be sitting there 6, 7 years. We don't know, and I think that was one of the things I learned from my national security course most recently, is that literally no one knows who's in where.
So I just heard that 80% of the government's phones, including their secure phones, are infected with malware or spyware.
sense.
So would this grant program that they're looking at, if I had access to a phone that literally self-healed consistently and never allowed itself to be infected, would that be something that they would like? And if so, anybody in this room who wants to buy that for their division and their government, please come see me.
I would like to learn more about that. That sounds fascinating. I like the self-healing idea.
Self-healing.
Interesting. Okay, I have many questions, and okay, I love that. That's fascinating.
Okay, I have a question. Based on everything you shared, and please be honest.
Please identify yourself for.
Yes, I'm Eugene Morozov, also known as Aristotle. My question is, be honest, please. Based on everything you said, what do you believe this country is versus its counterparts in the world in terms of defending its core infrastructure, its national interests, based on the comprehensive collection of currently available legislature and best practices? Where does the U.S. stand right now? I've heard very different opinions. Thank you.
Oh, well, guess I'll go first on that one, huh? Okay. Well, I can't really speak to other countries. I've never lived in another country. I've only lived in the United States. And I would imagine, Javon, you could speak more about this if you're allowed to. But all countries, all governments have safeguards in place to keep things secret that they want to keep secret, and to put things public they want to put public. And those technologies are far beyond probably anything that I've ever seen, because they're probably not for public use. They're top secret and above kind of things. I think blockchain in general is a way to allow that kind of security and that kind of infrastructure to be established in any country, be it a third world country that's barely getting by and their people are barely getting by, up to the number one on the GOP list of the countries in the world. And I think that is what makes blockchain so attractive to those that understand it, and so elusive to those that don't. Because when you start to just take a surface glance at blockchain technology and now AI coming out so much, it really is a lot to comprehend and understand. And so if you don't take the time to understand it and educate yourselves, a lot of times you can't teach someone that doesn't want to be taught. So I think that's a big barrier, and especially here in the United States. I will say that's definitely something that we are falling behind the rest of the world on, is blockchain, AI, cryptocurrency adoption. There are lots of battles that we see on TV, with, even today, testimonies down the street, that are preventing a lot of steps forward that we should be taking. Because blockchain isn't going away, AI isn't going away. It's not a matter of if it will succeed and replace current technologies, it's a matter of when will you allow it to. And I think, unfortunately, the United States is far behind the curve compared to a lot of other countries in the world. Absolutely. That's why they pay me.
Well, and I
Still
think
pay
to
'em here.
just add on to that too, if we think about the use case of Estonia in general, when they were cyber attacked by, I won't say an unknown country, their entire grid was down for 6 months. Yes, many, many years ago, I remember, yes, I had little kids at the time who are now grown. And so with that, they are a wonderful country for us to look at what they've put in place. Their identity program is blockchain and it's backed. It is so impressive. And if we look at them as a use case for what other countries should be doing, their best practices are so amazing. That's why, NATO, their cybersecurity program is based there. So I think, just to add upon what you said, I think that we need to start looking at other countries. What are they doing? And Estonia being one of the first, and we are learning a lot from them. And will their power grid go down? They have decentralized it using blockchain. So that's one thing I think we need to think through. We are centralized in 3 locations for a power grid here in the United States. If 3 go down, we are out. We're out of power for 6 days minimally. And then who knows what's going to happen from there. It would just cause a supply chain issue. Supply chains can be fixed by blockchain, first off, but then also our power grid, decentralizing that, or at least starting down that direction, I think would be a very smart thing to do. So those who are putting in a grant, that would be one of my requests.
Javon, if you take her home.
I also, since, let me say it this way, our really biggest issue is, well, that's my opinion, is more so the cyber warfare side. I was bringing this to some of the cybersecurity professionals. I said, hey, you notice they have K&R insurance, which stands for kidnap and ransom insurance. Couldn't somebody buy a list of that from insurance companies and then hypothetically spearfish them to basically, or they could be in cahoots? Because if I have K&R insurance for my company, all of a sudden I go missing, and they hold me for ransom for $920 million because I have an insurance policy for that, hypothetically. I don't know. I just feel like if you remove the insurance policies on kidnapping ransoms for ransomware, I believe there would be that you would actually defeat the incentive of someone, because it could be cahoots. I could go get the policy because I don't have a criminal record. I have a clean record. I could tell my cousin, hey, look at what I'm doing. I'm not going to say anything. And then next thing you know, oh, it's a ransomware attack. Oh, somebody just got into our system. At this point in time, I believe a lot of this stuff is organized and orchestrated. So if you get rid of the insurance policy, follow the money. If you just follow the money, you really see how it's orchestrated. So that's just my personal opinion. Get rid of the K&R insurance, then see how many ransomware attacks are there.
Thank you all. These were very illuminating things. Now, I want